Good morning, You Can Heal family. I realized because Tracy Ann pointed it out to me that I had skipped reading Judges chapter 14, the sinful marriage of Samson. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So shout out to Tracy Ann because listen, Tracy Ann is faithful and she is in that word reading on her own and then going back and listening to this, to me reading. So shout out to her. So proud of all of you, actually, just for being so committed to God. So I'm thankful. I really am. My weekend was very full, very long. So this video is getting up a little bit later. But nevertheless, I'm reading as well, too. Here we go. The sinful marriage of Samson, Judges chapter 14. One day, Samson was in Timnah. He noticed a certain Philistine woman. When he returned home, he told his father and mother, I want to marry a young Philistine woman I saw in Timnah. Now remember I said yesterday I didn't remember him being married or getting married, and that is why I didn't read the chapter. And also, I always thought Samson had a P in his name, but there is no P according to this Bible. So, I don't know, maybe you realize that too. Anyways, verse 3 says, his father and mother objected strenuously. Isn't there one woman in our tribe or among all the Israelites you can marry? Why must you go to the pagan Philistines to find a wife? But Samson told his father, get her for me. She is the one I want. His father and mother didn't realize the Lord was at work in this, creating an opportunity to disrupt the Philistines who ruled over Israel at the time. As Samson and his parents were going down to Timnah, a young lion attacked Samson near the vineyards of Timnah. At that moment, the Spirit of the Lord powerfully took control of him, and he ripped the lion's jaws apart with his bare hands. He did it as easily as if it were a young goat, but he didn't tell his father or mother about it. When Samson arrived in Timnah, he talked with the woman. He was very pleased with her, and he was very pleased with her. Later, when he returned to Timnah for the wedding, he turned off the path to look at the carcass of the lion, and he found that a swarm of bees had made some honey in the carcass. He scooped some of the honey into his hands and ate it along the way. He also gave some to his father and mother, and they ate, but he didn't tell them he had taken the honey from the carcass of the lion. That's interesting. As his father was making final arrangements for the marriage, Samson threw a party at Timnah, as was the custom of the day. 30 young men from the town were invited to be his companions. Samson said to them, let me tell you a riddle. If you solve my riddle during these 7 days of the celebration, I will give you 30 plain linen robes and 30 fancy robes. But if you can't solve it, then you must give me 30 linen robes and 30 fancy robes. All right, they agreed. Let's hear your riddle. So he said, from the one who eats came something to eat. Out of the strong came something to eat. 3 days later, they were still trying to figure it out. On the 4th day, they said to Samson's wife, okay, so somewhere in between the riddle, he got married in those 3 days. Get the answer to the riddle from your husband, or we will burn down your father's house with you in it. Did you invite us to this party just to make us poor? So Samson's wife came to him in tears and said, you don't love me, you hate me. You have given my people a riddle, but you haven't told me the answer. I haven't even given the answer to my father or mother, he replied. Why should I tell you? Oh, wow. When you get married, you're supposed to put your spouse first, but he's putting his parents. So in verse 17, so she cried whenever she was with him and kept it up for the rest of the celebration. At last, on the 7th day, he told her the answer because of her persistent nagging. Then she gave the answer to the young men. So before sunset on the 7th day, the men of the town came to Samson with their answer. What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? Samson replied, if you hadn't plowed with my heifer, you wouldn't have found the answer to my riddle. Then the Spirit of the Lord powerfully took control of him. He went down to the town of Ashkelon, killed 30 men, took their belongings, and gave their clothing to the men who had answered his riddle. But Samson was furious about what had happened, and he went back home to live with his father and mother. So his wife was given in marriage to the man who had been Samson's best man at the wedding. Now that's a little confusing to me. So verse 18, so before sunset on the 7th day, the men of the town came to Samson with their answer. But then the next thing is a question. What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? Let me look here. Verse 4. His father and mother didn't realize the Lord was at work in this, creating an opportunity to disrupt the Philistines. Well, maybe giving his wife the riddle disrupted them. The commentary for verse 4 says, this may be the key to understanding Samson's role. On previous occasions, the Israelites had repented of their sin and cried out to the Lord for help. Now there was no cry. They had become content to live under pagan domination. God's purpose for Samson was to cause a breach between Israel and Philistia and to reestablish Israel's sense of separateness and covenant identity. Verses 5 through 10. The comings and goings in these verses reflect the necessary negotiations between the two families to arrange their marriage. Something about this riddle caused disruption and allowed the Israelites to get back on track, I suppose. So that was interesting to me, but nevertheless, the mother and father gave Samson's best man to his wife, so that was the end of that marriage. Interesting chapter. So that's it, guys. That's it for that chapter. Let's see what else we got in the good word. Let's see where we are. Hold on. I want to see where we left off with our psalm. Looks like we haven't read Psalm 101, so let's see. It says, Psalm 101, Commitments of a Holy Life. I will sing of your love and justice. I will praise you, Lord, with songs. I will be careful to live a blameless life. When will you come to my aid? I will lead a life of integrity in my own home. I like that, right? Integrity in your own home. When people aren't watching you, are you still the same person when you're out of your house? I will refuse to look at anything vile and vulgar. I hate all crooked dealings. I will have nothing to do with them. I will reject perverse ideas and stay away from every evil. I will not tolerate people who slander their neighbors. I will not endure conceit and pride. Just remember, these are the commitments of a holy life. So staying away from evil, rejecting perverse ideas. I will keep a protective eye on the godly, so they may dwell with me in safety. Only those who are above reproach will be allowed to serve me. I will not allow deceivers to serve me, and liars will not be allowed to enter my presence. My daily task will be to ferret out criminals and free the city of the Lord from their grip. While I live a holy life, I will sing of your love and justice. I will praise you, Lord, with songs. I'll be careful to live a blameless life. Yeah, to live a blameless life. No one's perfect, but to always remember that, you know, everything you do or say, the Lord sees and hears. So we can't hide anything from him. So we may as well do our very best to live in integrity. So let that be the word for today. Live in integrity today. Go forward with integrity. All right. Have a good day. I've got a real busy week. Y'all pray for me because my ex-husband's coming to town for my daughter's graduation. So an interesting week for me. I'll be here tomorrow. Thanks for the prayers, You Can Heal family, and we'll talk soon. Always remember that true healing begins with self-love. Why? Because God is love and He lives on the inside of you. Bye.